I have been a UX researcher at the Danish jewelry company Pandora for the past 6 months, where I have joined them on their digital transformation and omnichannel journey. Before Pandora, I worked at the Swedish furniture retailer IKEA, where I, for the last year and a half, in the middle of their digital transformation, was the acting global head of UX UI, with the responsibility to build up an in-house UX UI team from the ground. I also did some hands-on work on some products as a UX researcher, and one of these was an augmented reality game. So IKEA wanted to explore the opportunities of creating an AR game that would be played in store. And this was a rather complex product. First, we have this immersive technology where there's still a lot to learn in terms of best practices. And we're not only designing for a user-friendly mobile experience, we also have to keep in mind the technical requirements needed for the app, because augmented reality apps tend to eat a lot of battery. And then, of course, we wanted some substance in the form of gameplay and storyline that at the same time was aligned with our company values. So we couldn't just build a fun game, it had to be relevant in the context of IKEA. And when designing for AR, you need to consider the physical environment, which in this case would be an IKEA store. So there would be a lot of rooms, objects, as well as other people. And we needed to make sure we wouldn't cause problems that would disrupt the customer's shopping experience. And last but not least, all of this was being created to be put in the hands of children aged 7 to 12. And one big challenge here is obviously the age range, because the development of a 7-year-old is very different from a 12-year-old. In addition to designing for children, we're also designing for the parents and need to consider their needs and concerns. And of course, there are a lot of legalities, not just for the product itself, but for the research, which makes it a lot more time consuming and costly when doing research with kids. So with all of these challenges and unknowns, the only way to start moving forward was by going back to basics and start with generative research, also called discovery or exploratory research, as early as possible. This included doing a qualitative survey with parents in our own network that fit the target group. So it didn't require a large sample size, nor were we expecting a statistically significant result. We just wanted to get a high-level understanding of parents' experience of shopping with children before diving in deeper. And one thing we learned from the surveys that surprised me, who doesn't have any kids, was that parents weren't especially concerned about their children getting lost or breaking things or getting injured in the store, which I had originally thought. We also did some ethnographic field studies and some guerrilla research, which I will go into now. So we went off to the IKEA store, where we did two things: some guerrilla interviewing of store coworkers, which meant we didn't need to spend any time or money on participant recruitment or incentives. And the coworkers shared struggles around having to monitor kids from going into restricted areas or climbing onto the shelves in the warehouse. So while kids running around wasn't much of a concern for the parents, it definitely was for the store coworkers. We then did a field study where we moved from area to area and made observations over time of the activity in that area. We wanted to learn what different family constellations there were, the dynamics and interactions in those, and about the kids' behaviors throughout the store journey. And what we observed was a very dynamic store journey for the kids, where they were clearly more engaged in shopping and browsing with their parents in some areas of the store, while not so engaged in other areas. We also learned from the survey with the parents that while shopping with kids could be stressful and require more planning, parents did enjoy getting to know more about their children and their preferences. So we already knew that we didn't want the game to be too immersive for safety reasons, but now we had learned about how This could also affect the shopping experience for the entire family as well. So as we started to have some design pillars in place for the game, we needed to start testing. And as I mentioned before, recruiting kids can be a bit time consuming with both legal and logistical considerations. So we did some guerrilla testing where the team members who had children tested with them at home. And here we also observed that kids had a tendency to run while playing. So with all the attitudinal and behavioral data we had collected so far, we concluded that we wanted the game to not work in certain rooms, including restricted areas, and that the app would sense if you were running while playing and it would stop. We also wanted it to be easy to pause and resume the gameplay without losing progress, so the kids wouldn't be too distracted from the shopping experience.